Good afternoon. For those of you who do not know me, I am Marian Diaz, the wife of Ambassador Miguel Diaz, and what a great husband he is today to give me the last word. He often says publicly that we bridge cultures, families, and gender through our life together. And we also bridge a generation gap as we parent 4 children every day. So I am the other side of this marital bridge. You may have seen me kind of typing away today. I'm going to be reading from my computer. His request to me was that I listen today and then draw together some reflections and themes based on what I have heard. So that's what I hope to do briefly and then send you on your way. I want to paint a picture of the day and hopefully spur you on to further interfaith action. So we started today reflecting on an image of a bridge. What first struck you when you saw this image, perhaps on your invitation or on the slide here? Perhaps it was the obvious contrast of day and night. Day and night, seeming opposites. In the arts in general, day represents light, warmth, goodness, enlightenment, and life. Night represents darkness, the cold, evil, unknowing, and maybe even death. Yet in this painting, day and night are not so much opposites as 2 perspectives on the same scene, the same reality. The painting, in which 2 paintings become one, helps us to overcome our often simplistic and dualistic ways of seeing the world. Whatever our religious differences are, we came here today to reflect on the one reality of our world's many needs, including equitable and ethical development, protecting our environment, and conflict resolution. Despite our religious differences, these realities continue to exist. One reflection of this concern today was Father Rosansky's mentioning of a reality component in their programming, a kind of learning experience that, in which one encounters the reality of the situation, the other side of the bridge, the other side, perhaps even the darker sides of our religions, our religious experiences, and our dangerous memories, as has been pointed out here by many of our speakers. Interestingly enough, at one point a few years ago, I heard Gustavo Gutierrez reflect on the parable of the Good Samaritan, which has been also brought up here today. And he noted very well that in fact it was the Good Samaritan who crossed over to the other side of the road, who was able to see the reality of the man who was suffering, and then to respond to it and take action to alleviate that suffering and to care for him. 3 themes that I heard echoed over and over again across the 3 panels today included, number 1, the theme of interdependence and partnership. Secondly, I heard the need for common values and ethical reflection. And also the need to think about these 3 issues, and perhaps even eventually maybe even other issues, in creative ways in conversation with each other. The question of interdependence and partnership points out, first of all, to our need for each other, for working with people of varied faiths who share common interests. So it not only points to the interdependence that we have for each other, but then also our need to move out of our organizations and partner with other organizations, other governmental, non-governmental organizations, academic institutions across the board. Interdependence shows our connection as a human family, but not only that, as our panel on the care for the environment shows, our interdependence with all of creation. and our need to see ourselves as a human family interwoven with and as an integral part of God's creation. The panel on conflict made clear the need for careful development of strong relationships, of partnerships and interdependence, so that trust and friendship will develop in a way that progress can be made in difficult conflict areas. In fact, we see, I think, even amongst ourselves, seeds of that building happening today as bonds are built and trust between persons grows to deeper levels. A second theme was the need for common values and ethical reflection. And I also want to add here, too, as kind of a subtext, but not only the common values and ethical reflection, but a consistent practical evaluation, a concrete evaluation of the effectiveness of our interfaith action. We heard stories of, yes, misreading of cultures and sort of ineffective projects that went awry, and money that was spent in ways that if we perhaps would have been more aware of these practical issues, we could have made better decisions. The work of interfaith action, of course, occurs within these local environments with specific socioeconomic, religious, and cultural contexts. And while we have heard today evidence of common values among the Abrahamic faiths, we need to continue to share and to educate others on these values. And as I said, from today's conversations, it is also clear that these common values are not enough alone to bring about interfaith action. As it was said, the devil is in the details. And it seems to me that we need to think, if we were thinking of ourselves as practitioners of interfaith action, to think of that as an art. We need to understand the medium with which we're working. We need to discern what tools we're using. We need to discern how we are expressing ourselves and how we are drawing others into relationship. And in different settings, right, we're going to be using different tools. Excuse me. A third theme that I would like to add that has perhaps been more implicit in the structure and design of this conference, but a little less explicit in the panels, is the question of how these issues need to address each other. So what do issues of ethical and just development have to say to issues related to the ecology or conflict resolution and vice versa? Some of this has been drawn out in the question and answer periods, but I think that it would be helpful to provide structures and to find persons who would be qualified and able to continue to look at these questions on the broader level. I think, analogously, we might go to the doctor and have our symptoms treated, and maybe the specific illness isn't cured. Maybe at some times we have multiple diseases and illnesses going on, and we say we need to treat the whole person. We need to look at the whole system and perhaps think outside of the box, whether it comes to conflict resolution, our economic structures, and or our